Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Odat Nerd here. As you can tell, down but not out. As you can probably tell, maybe not from the way I look, except for the fact that I'm wearing a coat inside a room surrounded by computers. My voice is, not yet returned. I'm still fairly sick, but we got to keep the Devember train rolling. First off, to say sorry that there haven't been any videos for the last couple of days, but I have been particularly sick, and this is the first time I've actually been able to talk for more than 15 or 20 minutes at a stretch for the course of a whole day without it being all coffee and raspy. In fact, I'm not even sure how well this sound will come out in the actual video. Nevertheless, fair to say that live streams for the rest of the month might be off while my voice returns, but I will try to continue creating vlog updates just to keep things going. And with that said, let's cover stuff I've been doing. Today, I actually managed to have the focus to sit down at the computer and do stuff, and I spent a good 3 hours, so we're sort of keeping up with the pace of things. I spent a bunch of time looking into configuration libraries for C Sharp and ended up on something called config.net, I believe, and spent some time investigating that only to determine that it doesn't support dictionaries. And as a result, I'm not sure that that's actually of use to me in the way that I want my config files to go. I want there to be a nice hierarchical config of things. So I decided after a bunch of playing around to discard that and just go to using the JSON.NET library, which knows how to serialize and deserialize a JSON object into strings and native objects. So if I just create a class that wraps the config, I can use that and store the file on disk, and we'll call that good enough. I also wanted to spend some time working on the network code, but after I worked on it a little bit, I realized I didn't quite have the mental focus to pull that off. So I mothballed that code. But generally, the idea is when we transfer files around, we don't want to use the same mechanism we're using right now because that's sending 4 bytes that represents the size of the data that's coming, followed by that many bytes. If you want to send a 4 megabyte file, it's going to have to allocate 4 megs of RAM on either side. So what I decided was what we should actually do is the reading code should read 6 bytes instead of 4. That'll tell it how big the overall data is and the 2 bytes that represent the message type. And from there, it can create a stub of the message that doesn't do anything. And then as it reads more data, it can pass that data to the message class to aggregate as it sees fit. Which in the case of our regular messages would be buffering it until all the data arrives, or in the case of a file would be writing it to disk and not buffering it at all. And I had some code worked out for that, but like I said, it was just sort of beyond me. So what I actually spent a bunch of time working on was, if you recall a few days ago, seems like a million years ago now, we were working on code to gather the files out of the local directory to constitute a build. I have replicated that code in C Sharp code, which is still outside of the project. Actually, I did it in a LinkPad script, but by the time you see this, or by the time this video gets out, or whatever, I will have moved it at least into the .NET test of the Devember package. It uses the exact same sort of functionality of excluding folders and excluding files, which may not be what we want for the server end because the server is going to have potentially more files if the build has side effects. But for the time being, we're just going to allow the two systems to sync themselves back and forth because we are running out. I'm tapping my watch like you can see it. We are running pretty low on time in Devember, and with my illness slowing me down for 3 days and not being able to work for as long as I would like to. I'm not sure if we're even going to be able to get a quick version of this done. It's my goal to try to get at least a simple build working before Devember is up, just to ensure that the proof of concept actually works. We'll see what happens. Nature contrives. This is the first cold I've had in a good 2.5 or 3 years, as evidenced by the fact that when I woke up sick, we went looking for cough and cold medicine, and all the stuff we had in the cabinet was expired in 2015. So don't get sick for a while, it comes back with a vengeance. Anyway, just to recap all of that stuff so that I can quit talking and go back into being silent. Haven't been around for a while. Live streams are probably off for the remainder of Devember. If I had to guess, while I get my voice back, I will try to keep coding. I'll definitely, if I do coding, will put it on the repository, even if I don't have the wherewithal to create a vlog like I'm doing right now. And hopefully by the end of November, we will have a build system. Um, until then, this is ODAT Nerd saying, I hope you're feeling better than I am. Have a Merry Christmas and have a sublime day. Yeah.